Hi, my name is Rossen. I'm very happy to be here. I'm actually also happy that it's the first session in the morning because I can pretend to be one of the cool kids like on Twitter and say GM. Good morning to everyone. Um, why am I here? Can I ask you, like, has anybody ever placed a bet, like bet on a sporting event? Like, can we do a raise of hands or? Okay, that's a great start. So I'm here because betting today is broken. And why can I be so sure about this? Well, I worked for the most part of my career in a global payments company, which specialized in high-risk payments, we called it. Um, Gambling, betting, adult, gaming, and so forth. And I spent nearly 12 years there, and it was I was part of a division which is a digital wallet. So imagine like the PayPal of betting, the most popular wallet in the betting sphere for gamblers and bettors. And what we saw in that business on a daily basis really is that our customers would complain about things like late or declined payouts, account limitations. Actually, that's a pretty tricky one. Bookmakers don't want players to be consistently making money. Okay? Bookmakers don't want to have players who are not losing over time. This is something that I never really felt okay with it. I thought it's very hypocritical. You know, like you win, then you take your money, you lose. Obviously, they take your money. But it's a standard in the industry that if you are winning consistently, then you're rooted out. You know, like you're pushed out, and you cannot bet anymore. And we had a very interesting business because we had a relationship both with the bookmakers, direct relationship, so virtually any bookmaker in the world actually we serviced, and we had the direct relationship with the players, the bettors themselves. So we could see all the inefficiencies that were happening in that industry. Lack of trust, lack of transparency, very often lack of fairness as well. So it is a rivalry really between the bookmakers and the players of the world today. Mind you, bookmakers were not happy about it as well. They complained about people opening up multiple accounts, bonus hunting, basically taking their bonuses with many accounts. They weren't happy as well about the payment costs. We were a payment company, I can tell you for sure. Actually, it's pretty crazy. Payments can go up to 10% for betting companies, for some of the payment options, which is like if you compare it virtually with any industry in the world, this is absolutely crazy. 10% for getting a deposit to the platform. This is very high. And of course, you know, like in history and online betting as well, you've had bookmakers that had liquidity problems. They ran out of business because they didn't have enough money to take bets from people and to settle the bets. So overall, I would say a very inefficient industry that can be improved. But that's my story, you know. Like, and then 2017, I started like I went into the ICO craze. I made some money, lost it all, and you know, like as the cliche goes, came in for the money, stayed for the tech. So I continued to follow the space, yeah, over time, you know, like last 2 to 3 years particularly, my excitement about what decentralization, what smart contracts, what Web3 can do really for many industries and for, well, for my industry, which was the betting industry as well, and for people as a whole, grew and grew and grew. And that's kind of how I got into this. Our CEO of the project that I'm going to tell you about today, also co-founder like myself, had a different story. He was a professional bettor himself. He had these problems, okay? And at a certain point, he said, okay, that's enough. I'm going to start a business. And he started a business which is aimed at alleviating the pressure between bookmakers and players. That business grew, and it's now the biggest sports betting media company in Eastern Europe, also growing globally, more than 300 people, very successful business, which is aimed particularly at the problem that there is no trust and no transparency between bookmakers and players currently in the world. But he also thought like, okay, that is what my business is built around, but this problem is solvable. It is solvable on chain, it is solvable via smart contracts, and if it is solvable, then it will be solved, right? And if it is solved, then the business is getting out of business, right? So he thought, okay, well, I mean, maybe we can be at the forefront of that disruption. And this brings us to the next reason why I'm here today. We looked at what's happening currently in the world. So if it is a problem that can be solved, is it being solved? What's happening right now? And I can tell you, we know that crypto as a payment method, okay, cryptocurrency being used by people to deposit and place bets is growing massively. We know this, we see this, it's going to continue. But this is not about this, right? This is about decentralized betting, how betting can happen in a new way, improved way, better for the ecosystem and better for the players. So we looked at what's happening on chain, and the reality is that there are actually steps in the right direction, but they are not nearly as far as they would need to be if we were to solve the problem of sports betting in particular, but also betting in general. You might know, like some of the projects that are here on the slide. There's others as well, and we looked at kind of like everything, and the thing which is closest to kind of like the first step in solving the problem in a decentralized way is prediction markets. But prediction markets today, they do not work. It is very, very clear if you see that there is no markets for sports events, there is no liquidity, and therefore there is no betting. What is actually like common for all these projects, and there is lack of betting understanding. They do not understand what bettors actually need, and therefore that pronounces itself in a couple of problems. And I think I would argue that like these projects never attempted to solve the problem of sports betting in the world at all. So what we have is no liquidity. Well, big reason for that is because the liquidity providers have to create the events. So if I'm a liquidity provider in prediction markets, I need to go and say, okay, guys, I'm going to take bets now for Man United versus Liverpool this weekend, for example. And obviously, I need to provide liquidity for this event. I need to get the tokens for both of the outcomes, right? And I carry betting risk myself. As a liquidity provider, I am forced to be a bettor as well if I do it in prediction markets. And therefore, it's massively inefficient, and there's no markets. So that's a big problem by itself, but there's another problem as well. The user experience is nothing close to what bettors expect. It is clunky, there is no odds, there is no three outcomes of an event, like win, draw, lose. There is no bets which are like accumulators, they're called in traditional betting, so many bets in one and the same slip. All of this is not happening there. So this is another problem which by itself is big enough for this to never kick off in terms of sports betting, but yeah, it is definitely there. So you can definitely understand that why I'm here really is because we think that we can do this. We are building Azuro, which is a global decentralized betting protocol. What Azuro does is it delivers trustless betting with a classic user experience. So in that environment and on Azuro, essentially you have no problems from the current traditional betting world. So for example, payouts are instant. We take no custody of bettors' funds. This is in crypto wallet, so you don't have to do this. You don't do this, and it's actually much better that you don't do this. There's no account limitations. There's no limitations of smart bettors accounts and so forth. So essentially, the issues with trust and transparency and lack of fairness in the traditional industry, they go away. But also, obviously, we need to have liquid markets. We need to have plentiful events. People expect to be able to make plenty of bets on a particular match. Man United versus Liverpool again. How many goals are going to be in the match? Who's going to score? Who's going to win? Who's going to lose? Is it going to be a draw? First half, second half, and so forth and so forth. This is extremely important. And of course, competitive odds. All of this is happening on Azuro. Now, but this is not really. This is big, but this is not the most exciting thing really for me particularly, because there's other things that can happen, and it's a word that probably you'll be very surprised about, but the word is NFTs. Through NFTs, essentially each bet made on Azuro can be minted as an NFT, as a standard. What this means is, for example, I placed a bet now on Man U versus Liverpool this weekend, and then I realize Cristiano Ronaldo is not going to play. That means that I can take my bet, put it on the secondary marketplace, and I can sell my bet. Possibly at a discount, but I can sell my bet to somebody who is willing to take this bet. In traditional betting, this is a big, big part of the betting sphere, and it's called a cash out. Okay? Totally possible through NFTs on the protocol. But beyond that, we can do now things that are possible only because of this technology, and they were never part of the betting industry and the betting experience before, and totally enrich the experience that the people can have. So imagine the following. We have a sports betting media company. We know what people most care about. What people most care about, what gets the most eyeballs, the articles that are being read and interacted and commented by most people is like awkward losses. Like somebody placed a bet on 20 events and they got 19 and the 20th, like tough luck, And people are caring, like people care about this. Then somebody, like made a lot of money from a very little money and people are, like obviously crazy about it. So imagine, if you follow sport, you would know about the hand of God goal by Diego Maradona in the World Cup final against England. Imagine if you had a bet on this event and you lost a lot of money or you won a lot of money because of that hand of God goal that Maradona scored. Then your bet has life after death as a collectible. And this is only possible because of NFTs and because of how technology can actually disrupt and add to the experience of bettors in the world. This is not just all fluffy talk and rose-tinted glasses. We have an MVP. Of course, it's very, very early days, but it's live. It's live for a month and a half now. We have already more than 300,000 bets on the platform. If you want to get your hands dirty, if that is interesting to you, go on, check the testnet, place a bet, try it out. So where are we trying to get with this? What is like the end state? What is the end goal? Creating a new experience for bettors and for players in the world is a big thing. But what is even bigger is what this can do to the betting industry as a whole. So let's have a look at just touching the surface of the architecture of our solution. First, liquidity provision. That, of course, is very important, as we said when we were looking at prediction markets. Liquidity provided on Azuro protocol goes into one big pool. And here we are saying multiple pools, but the idea here is like maybe you have a pool for football, you have a pool for tennis, or you have a pool for a particular league. But the idea is liquidity is provided to one pool, okay, from where it is appropriated, all the markets, all the bets, all the events that happen on the protocol. So liquidity providers are not exposed to any particular event's betting risk, which is extremely important to have consistency in the API provided for liquidity providers so that we can have a lot of money deposited for liquidity on the protocol. That's first. Second, the events are not created by people. Nobody has to actually come in and create a market for a particular game. These are important. Real-world data is imported via oracles from the real world, and the events are created. Then, of course, they become markets and people start betting on them. But settlement and the creation of events is done via oracles. So that means that we can have many, many, many markets to bet on. And matched with the liquidity, now we have a lot of liquidity that can be appropriated to many markets. Okay? So we are getting very close to the expectation of bettors, right? I can bet on many things, and I actually can do it, right? Because there is something to back my bets. Next, bettors in the future of decentralized betting do not interact with Azuro, the protocol, directly. This happens via front ends. Front ends are built on top of the protocol, and they essentially tap into what currently a traditional bookmaker does. There is money for betting, so there is liquidity already. The events are being created, the odds are being set, and the events are being settled, and the money is being moved. All of this happens here. The front-end operators, they only do user acquisition, which changes the game massively for what currently a bookmaker is and what a bookmaker can be in the future. Imagine today these are, just bookmakers, but in the future, anybody can come and do this virtually. So this could be a football club that wants to, front run the bookmakers and I go to their fans and say, look, we have our own solution. You don't need to go to this bookie or the other bookie and they're our sponsors. We can do it ourselves, right? So support the club, open up a front end. Football leagues, influencers, sports celebrities, a nave, a compound, anybody who has user base and wants to give a wider breadth of services to that user base can actually come and run a front end and, of course, take parts of the earnings of the protocol. And then, of course, in the end, it is a DAO. So key decisions are being made by the token holders. So when you look at this together. This is what a bookmaker currently is. It is a bookmaker-centric industry. But this industry can become more democratized and sharing way more value with much more participants in terms of liquidity provision, data and feed providers, oracles, front-end operators, and of course, governance. So I care about this, but most people in crypto, to be honest, they don't care about sports. And when I started following crypto, I actually started caring less about sports myself. But why should we care about this? This is a massive, massive industry, estimated in the hundreds of billions by any like serious research company out there. And also, more than half of adult population has placed bets. Billions of people are placing bets. This is the reality today. They suffer from untransparent and very often unfair betting. But betting can be trustless, betting can be transparent, betting can be more fair, betting can be more fun, and it can share much more value with many more participants on Azuro. Thank you.